So we're going to be relatively relaxed and informal this morning, but what we wanted to do was, and we're very grateful to the Edward community for being willing to do this with us, we're just going to have a chat about maybe what life is like in Edwardstown, you know, what people do, what they work at, what the atmosphere is, the schools, the job, you know, just what's going on in Edwardstown. But to begin with, we might just very quickly, and there's quite a few of us, but we'll maybe hop and trot very quickly through who we are. And maybe I'll start with our visiting Notre Dame people. So you might say where you're from in the States, what you're studying at Notre Dame, and what your internship is here. We have 40 Notre Dame students at the moment who are interning in Ireland in various places. And just a quick one on what we're doing, like the solar panels or whatever.
Okay.
So Christian.
My name's Christian Femright. I'm researching solar energy at UCC, and I'm from Denver, Colorado.
And your major at Notre Dame?
Electrical engineering.
Yeah.
I'm Danny Mearsman. I am a studio art major with photo concentration, and I live in Mishawaka, Indiana, and then I also am, or not also, but I'm interning at the O'Connell House as their program photographer.
I'm Madison Walsh. I'm studying psychology, French and Spanish, and I'm from Southern California, and I'm working at the National Gallery.
I'm Caroline Clunan. I'm studying political science and classics. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm interning at the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, no, keep going, yeah.
My name is Ciarán Greene. I'm from Edwardstown, and I'm studying English and Geography at Notre University.
Great.
My name is Matthew Greene, and I'm in junior year at Ciarán College, and I'm doing my future exams this week.
Okay, very good.
My name is Emma Greene. I'm also from Edwardstown. I do law in college, and now I'm interning in history in Dublin.
I'm Samantha Burley. I study economics and Italian, and I'm from upstate New York, and I'm working at IBA.
Okay, we're at the back there, lads.
Me?
Yeah, that's you.
I'm Mary, and I'm married to someone from Edwardstown. I'm originally from there.
Okay,
I'm Thomas Hodge, I'm from the town.
brilliant.
I'm Noel, I'm from Thurles, and I'm living here a long time. I'm a former member from Garda Síochána.
Oh, I'm Seamus Kelly, and I'm from the area here.
But Seamus, you spent a lot of time in the States, didn't you?
I did, yes. I was merchant marine all my life, so I was over the west coast and all around the States, but not inland, mostly the coast.
Okay, cool.
I'm Carmel Noone. I live married and live in Edwardstown, and I work here with the local development group for the last 20 years.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm Camilla Kelly. I'm supporting the group here, looking at opportunities for the development of the programmes here and targeting an international audience, and delighted to be here today.
Thank you. And now I think we're back to Kelly.
I'm Kelly. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm studying education and sociology, and I'm interning at Right to Read.
I'm Sarah Gavin. I'm from South Bend, Indiana. I'm studying design and French, and I'm working at Poetry Ireland.
I'm Mark Tchaikovsky. I'm from Irvine, California. I'm majoring in neuroscience and political science, and I'm doing research in science education at Trinity College.
I'm Rory Whelan. I'm looking after the Notre Dame folk while they're here. I'm their internship manager, and I'm from Dublin.
Okay, we'll come back to the back there.
I'm John Gerard, I'm from the town, and I'm involved with the Historical Society here. I maintain our website, Facebook pages.
Excellent.
Ciarán MacGonigal. I live in the town. I'm not originally from the town, and I bore you any day of the week about the Edwards.
Patrick Quinn, from the town, retired from business.
I doubt that's entirely true, but anyway.
Sean Crossan, I'm from Longford Town originally, but we've been living here in Edwardstown the last 13 years. I'm an electrical wholesaler.
Great, thanks, Sean.
Jerry Lane, businessman in town, chairman of traders, lived here all my life, proud to be here.
Good, thanks, Jerry.
I'm Noreen Grant, and I'm from Edwardstown and I'm an ecologist, so sometimes I help out the group with issues of environmental activities.
Billy.
My name is Billy. I'm County Leagues and I'm a bus driver.
Billy is a key man in all our operations because we make Billy bring buses that most people wouldn't bring a push bike down. So, and Billy is well able to do it. Great man for us. This man knows every back road in Ireland. I'm behind him, behind you there, Billy.
It's Seamus Patrice, retired from the fire service, and I work here in town.
Okay. Here.
Kate Cross is my name, and I'm from Edgeworthstown, and I'm principal in a national school about 25-minute drive from here.
Okay, cool. We'll come across here now.
I'm Katie Kehoe. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm studying neuroscience and English at Notre Dame, and I'm interning at the Science Gallery at Trinity College.
I'm Sean McMahon. I'm studying technology management at Notre Dame. I'm from Rochester, New York, and I'm interning at Commore Abbey out west.
My name is Adam Millett. I'm originally from Canton, Ohio. I'm studying chemical engineering with a minor in philosophy, and I am doing research on microfluidics at DCU.
Good. Shane.
Hi. I'm Shane Jenkins. I'm from Denver. I'm program of liberal studies and theology back home, and I'm interning at the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin.
Okay. And we're back over here.
I'm Ryan. I'm from Indiana. I'm studying computer science at Notre Dame, and I'm doing research on Irish education at Trinity College, Dublin.
Yeah. Who are these two fine gentlemen behind that? Go on, tell us who you are, lads. Go on.
My name is Tomas Walsh. I'm from Cologne and go to school in St. Mel's.
Great.
Seamus Walsh and go to school in St. Teresa's.
Excellent. Thank you, Thomas and Seamus.
I'm Sarah Kelly. I'm from Santa Barbara, California originally. I study English and Gender Studies, and I'm interning at ACE Ireland, which is the Alliance for Catholic Education.
And now I want to introduce you to a young woman who's very keen to live in Longford.
I'm Meg. I'm a sociology and political science major at Notre Dame, going in my 4th year, and I'm doing research around Dublin on migration.
Cool.
I'm Joe Scipio. I'm from right outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm studying economics and journalism, and I'm interning at RTE.
Great. Nicole.
I'm Nicole White. I'm from upstate New York. I'm studying American Studies and Irish Language and Literature at Notre Dame, and I'm interning here with the GAA at Cope Park.
Dream internship.
I'm Amanda Ball. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I study history, Italian, and education at Notre Dame. And this summer I'm working at the Notre Dame Newman Center for Faith and Reason.
And all the way to California again.
I'm Kelly Lochran. I'm from Southern California. I'm studying finance and European studies at Notre Dame, and I'm interning at Irish Life Investment in Canada.
I think we've got everybody, didn't we? Okay. One more. Oh yeah, you always got to leave the best wine until last.
I'm Michael Davis. I'm from New Lenox, Illinois, outside of Chicago. I'm studying information technology management, theology, and business analytics, and I'm interning at Don Bosco here in Dublin.
Cool. So what we talked about this morning, we might just ask a few questions and pay attention now because I do hop and trot, as you can see. If you're going around the group, sometimes people look and kind of, you know, so I always come back across. So the lightning can strike at any minute, so pay attention, lads. I'll be coming to you now and again. So Frank, you know, what's the population of Edgeworthstown and how would you describe the local economy and the local society here?
There's close to 4,000 people in the locality. It is a working area, originally based on agriculture, more industry based now. It's vibrant. We had a decade of difficulty due to the economic collapse, which was worldwide. We're over that. What I would hope is that our community develops from it, but at the present moment, things aren't bad. Of course, they can be better, but most places you go, things can be better. How to get better is engage with people. You heard Kieran speak today. We're here 400 years. The Edgeworth started in 398 years ago, so we're going to have a great year of celebration in 2 years' time. But over that 400 years, there has been difficulties. Slight ones like the famine. You know, we've had emigration, England, America. So how communities like this develop is by putting our best foot forward, showing our qualities. Our qualities today is are working together. Like everyone talks about Dublin. If you work in Dublin, your house is 3 times the cost. If you have a child in Dublin, childcare is 3 times the cost. If you live in Edgeworthstown, your house is cheap, you live in a safe area, your neighbours look after you. Sure, we're 20 times better than Dublin. Who'd want to live there?
Me.
Misguided.
I'm only joking. No, but so how far are you now by road from Dublin, Frank?
We used to be 65 miles, 63 miles, but due to the new motorway network, we're 40 minutes.
Okay. So it's very close to Dublin. Now, does that mean you have have you many commuters from
definitely, we have a lot of people. Well, let's say of the working population, I don't mean children, and I don't mean older people, but of the 10% would commute. A new phase has been basically people working from at home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys working in Intel, working Hewlett Packard, but can work from at home. And it's something we hope to develop more.
So you've seen more of that in recent years, Frank?
Yes, definitely. You see...
But is that an advantage then for Edgeworthstown? Because what you were saying is much cheaper to live here and maybe have a better quality of life and a strong community. But for working from home, Edgeworthstown would be a great base.
Yes, we're hoping that we will put a base on the main street going forward, where people will come into the town, work their day. Our computer connectivity isn't that good out the country. When I mean out the country, 3, 4, 5, 8 miles away. Where if we have a base here in the town, they will support local businesses. There is an active amount of people willing to work from their own community on the main street. Our train station, go down any day, the car park is full.
Yeah.
So we're slowly getting into the technology age.
Yeah. But you're well connected because you're on the railway line. You've good road now to Dublin. Yes. And how are you with fibre optic cable and high speed internet? Is that a key thing now for Edgeworthstown?
It is the future. We have it. We haven't it developed, not to the extent. I'd have to say we're progressive enough. Our community has traders, GAA, tidy towns, and we all have the one view. We need to work closer together and sell the one story.
Yeah.
Is it there? Yes, it is. Can it be done? Definitely. No doubt about it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, and I don't know who's best equipped to answer this, Hugh, but I know as well, because one of the things that's to me is very impressive about Edgeworthstown, what I've learned about it is that I think you guys have done a fabulous job of integrating new people into the community, right? And you'd have quite a few new Irish here now, but they seem to be very well integrated, and you know, like that's adding a quality to the town as well. What would you think about that, Frank?
Well, we're a welcoming community, quite simply, and contrary, there's that negative statement out there, people come to the area for something. An awful lot of people come to our town and our country, basically for work and for a home and for safe. We've done it for generations. Now, I don't want to hug the particular area, so I'm going to divert questions around to other people around in the room. Yeah. Jerry, how are you? No, but have you seen a change in the last 5 years in the town with the people that live and work around it?
Well, we're changing all. Like we've multicultural. You heard earlier about the school, 400 to 500 students across 70 and 80 nationalities. So it is changing all, and like we go maybe as the generations change and each decade goes, there'll be more integrated in, be it the GEA or organisations like the traders or whatever it will be, and the town will develop through that. But it takes time. It's like the tourism thing here. The lads are saying it takes time to develop it. So it's all about just being patient and putting the work in. Like the big thing is a work ethic. There is a huge work ethic in the town, and there's some serious guys pushing these things, and they're moving forward. So, like, I think the future is good for Edgeworthstown.
Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic, and that's the key.
Yeah, because there will always be, you know, I mean, like, we have to call a spade a spade. Sometimes we call a spade when it's a shovel, but sometimes, you know, like there's going to be, like integrating new people, and maybe there's language difficulties and, you know, like all of that. But in the longer term, they're a resource for the town, really, you know, in terms of workforce and in terms of keeping the school open, in terms of keeping shops open. So how many, like if of the population of Edgeworthstown, how many would you say are, you said there's 19 or 17 or 18 or 19 nationalities in school, so there's a lot of new Irish here.
Oh, I heard the expression earlier today, the new community.
Yeah.
It really rings through here. We, at the present moment, a third of the working population weren't born in Ireland.
A third, 1 out of every 3.
Yeah, 1 out of every 3. Hard to believe for a market town that's in the centre of the country. Our challenge is to integrate them more. Our challenge is to make them welcome. Now, the Irish are good at that. It's not just us. How we do that is we develop our own services. That's where it works. It's where young people go to the school, they're friendly with every nationality. So when they grow up, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
You know, you develop with your neighbour.
Yeah.
So it takes time.
Yeah. Okay. So I know maybe you're a principal close to Edgeworthstown. And I'm always a great advocate of the national schools in Ireland, in part maybe because I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters who are national school teachers. But I kind of think the national schools play a crucial role in absorbing new people, and like our schools are really good, I think, by international standards. What would be the challenges for you now as a national school teacher? What would you see as your principal challenge now?
Well, Irish national schools are very inclusive and always have been. The majority of the national schools in this area will be Catholic national schools, but we would also be very inclusive of other religions that are in schools. So I suppose at the moment, I suppose the biggest challenge in schools will be differentiation, being able to differentiate for different needs of all different pupils and students that are coming along in the school. In the school here in Edgeworthstown, we're very lucky. There are staff of, I think maybe up on 30 teachers in the school itself, they cater for all the mainstream national school children. But there's also an autistic unit as well. So they have 3 classrooms that cater for children with autistic needs. So there's, I think, 5 to 6 pupils in each of those classrooms. And those classrooms would have a class teacher and 2 assistant teachers also in each classroom.
And then you'd have good progression rates here into like good secondary school, like the lads here in St. Mel's and whatever. Like you've good secondary schools as well in the area.
The children from Edgeworthstown would be have 3 options really available to them. There are 2 secondary schools in Granard, 3 secondary schools in Longford, and Ballymahon is also another 15 minutes over the road, and there are 2 secondary schools in Ballymahon. So when the children reach the age of 12, 13, they progress into secondary school, and they spend between 5 and 6 years in the secondary school system before they do the state exams, which are beginning next Wednesday. I think this man here is looking forward to Wednesday. Maybe looking forward to getting started and finished. So, you know, there are plenty of opportunities. There's a bus system as well to transport the children to the various different secondary schools. So there are single-sex secondary schools in Longford. You have St. Mel's for just boys. You've got the Commons for the girls. There's also co-educational secondary schools in both Ballymahon and in Granard.
Yeah, and I might bring in Clarice here now too, as well. No, because again, obviously, in the present day, everybody worldwide knows that you know, you need your education, and you need really 3rd level now increasingly as well. I mean, there's lots of other opportunities as well. But like in Ireland, there is a very large progression rate from secondary school into 3rd level. Like I believe in Chicago, like say, even the graduation rate from high school, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but it's only around 50%. A lot of people never finish secondary school. In Ireland, we have a fabulous, we're in the 90s. People sometimes say we do badly, but by international standards,
we do a great job in secondary school in terms of getting most people through them, and obviously not finishing secondary school is a major predictor of difficulty.
Also feature very high in the PISA reports. The statistics will be very high for students in maths and English and science in Ireland.
We could talk more about that, but yes, by and large, as I say, our national school and secondary school do a great job, but progression into third level is really important, and we now have, which is something as an Irish person that I would be very proud of, we have now the highest progression rates for young women into third level in the world, which is incredible, really. You know what I mean? If you think of who we are, whatever, we're world beaters in terms of introducing our women. Now, the only problem with that is that women are now outperforming our guys in college in areas that were traditionally male, like engineering, medical, all that, because our girls, now most of our classes in university, they're increasingly dominated by women, which is kind of, it's a great thing in some ways, but it means our boys have to pull up their socks, because guys, generally speaking, felt that it would just drop into their barrel. Nowadays our women outperforming. The same is true in Notre Dame, but anyway, I won't get into that. But in terms of, in terms of going on to college and whatever, how would you feel, that went for you when you went up to Dublin, Clarice? And like they just, Charlotte, sorry,
you're in Dublin.
Yes, sorry. So Charlotte, just in terms of... Oh yeah. No, but in terms of coming from Longford and then going into university, how was that transition for you, and how did all that go?
Well, for me, it was never really a question if I wasn't going to go to college. I always knew I wanted to go. I went to DC for 3 years. I get to train up every Sunday evening, come back every Friday. All my friends did it, so it wasn't that difficult of a transition. You move from Edgerstown, from Longford, with a massive group of friends to Dublin. You have the same circle, and then you come home every weekend. That's the way it worked for me. I think it was pretty similar for Charlotte.
Yeah, it was exactly the same. Like, all my friends had the idea of going to college, like it wasn't a question, and so we just all went on our way.
Yeah, I think that, you see, because what you're talking about there would be a big difference, say, I think, with Notre Dame. Because Notre Dame, as you heard there, like our students are recruited from all over the US, so the option isn't really there to pop on the train on the Friday and head back down to Edgeworthstown or whatever. So, and I'll come back to you in a minute. But I just want to make the point there, because America is a much bigger scale, and it makes it difficult. There's a thing in Notre Dame which is called ring by spring, which is, if you start a relationship in college, which could happen, and then suddenly there comes that dreadful moment when you say, oh my God, she's going to be doing med school in New Jersey, and I'm going to be doing law school in California. And are we going to kind of stay together? And then ring by spring is you have to decide then whether you're going to... We get a lot of engagements that happen in the last year because you have to decide. No, it puts a lot of pressure. Whereas here, no problem. If you have the boyfriend down in Edgeworthstown, you're probably glad not to have to be dealing with him for the week, and then you go down the weekend, it's great. So like the scale of Ireland's a very intimate little country. There's more people in Chicago hinterland than the whole of Ireland. But what I'm saying to you, the rhythm is different, because I think in college in Dublin now, like, people go out during the week and then they have another social life down at home. Whereas in Notre Dame, the socialising is at the weekend. Meg, what do you want to ask there?
Oh, I was just going to ask if most people come back after college. Like, if you go to college and you know how you come back on weekends and stuff, like, is it kind of the general idea that once you're done, you come back and kind of like bring your skills back to your community, or is that more of like a later down the line thing after you?
I think that really depends on what profession you're in. I know for me personally, I'd love to come back to Edgerstown maybe in 10 years or so. But I think right now a lot of people, I know my age, a lot of my friends who finished college, they want to see a bit more of the world before they consider coming back. So they're in Australia and America for a year or two, and then eventually the idea is coming back home. But I haven't seen that just yet.
So does that mean that Edgerstown has a gap then between, like, you might be here until you're 18, then all of a sudden there's this huge drop off until you get to maybe 30 or so, and then you're back? Like, are you finding that you're struggling to, have an active youth culture, I suppose?
Well, there is a gap, mainly because up to now, County Longford, where we're based, when people come back, they need to get a position. They need to fill into a spot in their life. They have to have a job. And up to now, there hasn't been a strong enough focus by the powers that be It is changing. It won't change without the people on the ground pushing it and making it happen. I'm not a believer in some guy above in Dublin makes a decision for the better of somebody down the country. I feel we're well able to make our own decisions down here and tell the boys in Dublin what we want. That's the way it has been. So there is people always coming back, because obviously they come to a particular age and click, they want to go back to where they come from. But when they come back, that's the difficulty. Have they got the position that they require? So it is a challenge.
But
Camilla.
Oh yeah, Camilla, come on.
I just thought it might be worth commenting at this stage on the structural framework underpinning the demographic profile in Ireland and in Ireland, is that 27% of the population of Ireland are young people, which is the highest in Europe. And that's a very significant indicator. And the indigenous population of Ireland is 4,700,000 perhaps at this stage, coming on to 5 million. 27% of the population of Ireland are considered to be under the age of maybe 35. So there's not that huge gap between young and old. However, there's one key challenge facing Ireland, is that over 50% of the population live within what's called the Greater Dublin area. And outside of that Greater Dublin area, outside of the belt, we would have called it the Pale 200 years ago, you have the indigenous Irish population west of that, and when you go to the west of Ireland, you'll see it. It's very beautiful, it's gorgeous, and we love living there, but in areas you could have 40% of the population over the age of 65. So that's a key challenge for Ireland, not so much a key challenge for the young people. The other thing to say, Kevin, I think is worth saying, is that the education system in Ireland ostensibly is free. You go to national school in Ireland, you get a very high quality education here. It's free. You go to secondary school in Ireland, this is free for 80 to 90% of the young population attending secondary. It is free, unless your parents choose to send you to a fee-paying school. And third level, apart from the fee, which is now up to €3,000 a year, it is relatively accessible and free compared to universities, I would suggest, Kevin, in the United States. And the transfer rate internationally between second level and third level is 19%, which is so high. Ireland would be one of the top in the world, Kevin. And those are the reasons, I think, Kevin's structural frameworks underpinning that.
That's very important. But also, just this is a comment for the Irish people as much as anybody else. What are the fees in Notre Dame at the moment if you're per year and you're staying on campus? So $65,000 and then they're
69,000.
Yeah. 59.
69.
69 for a year, and then it's 4 years.
Buy a house here.
I know. But give or take, it probably costs you $250,000. Now, there are corollaries for that as well. Is Notre Dame admits flying, and then if you have economic need, like Notre Dame will look after you, and we give 120 million in scholarships every year. So like it's not like it's exclusive. When we're looking at who we're taking in, we're not looking at whether people can pay it or not. But by and large, for parents or whatever, can be $250,000. And we're also Catholic, very Catholic school, so there's often large families. And I'm always looking at those poor parents and saying, oh my God. And then and my kids, they can go to Trinity for whatever, 3,000 or UCD. Okay, and I know Irish parents complain bitterly, and especially people from the country, and I'm from the country myself, because you have to keep them in Dublin and it's expensive and whatever. But by and large, guys, we're living in a fool's paradise in terms of, because we have very good access to high quality education in Ireland, very cheap by international standards and scandalously cheap by American standards. Can I ask?
I just want to add one thing. There's a very valid point about the education, and I used to go to the States quite a bit, and we were the company I worked for 30 odd years was the distributor of Stanley Tools here in Ireland. And when the CEO changed there, we went over to sing for our supper, waving for Ireland, don't do anything silly, we're doing a great job for you. But a new guy came in from GE and there was no talking to him. And we were trying to explain how important we were in Ireland. This is about 1999, 2000. And he had this vision of Ireland of half doors and donkeys. Ireland, you're small. So picking up on the benefits, the consequences of that education, and what Francis said a few minutes ago about people travelling from here. You know, I reeled off for that guy Intel, Hewlett-Packard, the various pharmaceuticals, the IBMs, and suddenly his face changed and he said to me, in Ireland? And I had him. It took a long time. He started to take us seriously. So the consequences of what you outlined there in terms of that education system took a long time, but the benefits have been enormous.
Yeah.
They mightn't all, you know, be located here, although there is a factory just down the road employing 600?
Yeah.
Jesus. There's a factory just behind you, employing 600 people, okay? So that contributes hugely. But the education system, the dividend on that has been that we have a lot of American multinationals and a lot of European countries located.
And then I am going to open out, guys, so have your questions ready. I'm just going to ask maybe Hugh and Jerry one question about the business environment now. Because as we all know, like we took a massive hit here with the collapse of the Celtic Tiger, and it really was a near-death experience for many businesses. And obviously, I think retail and that, and small towns were very badly hit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's no way around that. Like, I mean, this wasn't just an Edgeworthstown experience; it was everywhere, really. So, how is the business environment now, and how confident would you guys be over the next 10 years or so? Are you seeing? Because I mean, a lot of time, the last election, people kind of thought that the government lost it because they said the recovery is underway and whatever, but people felt it was just a Dublin kind of thing, it hadn't really spread down the country at all. Are you seeing any signs of, like, how confident would you be now? And are you seeing signs of a recovery down here in Longford?
Well, I, with my family, own the local hardware store of the town, and I would be the 5th generation of that store. We started in 1875. And I suppose down through the years, our thing was the ability to change. You have to be able to change in different direction quite quickly to suit the environment you're in. Edgeworthstown has changed. We've seen that recession that you talked about 10 years ago, that started 10 years ago. That was our 5th recession. You know, we've been through it, in and out of it, so it wasn't unfamiliar ground to us. And I keep going back to the ability to change our business and tweak it and to tie into what our local customers want. So outside of that then, we work very closely with the rest of the community. That's why all of us here, we form these committees and we work very closely together. It's all about building a community and changing to form that community, change the needs of the community. And we work very hard at that and be very inclusive of all the organisations around the town.
Yeah.
And by that you get rewarded.
Yeah.
And people will shop local.
Yeah. So are you seeing any uptick now? Or what way do you see the business environment?
The business environment is very tough at the minute. It's very, very tough. We're battling against e-commerce would be my biggest challenge. You know, I mean, yes, we want to bring in technology into this town. We need to get the e-fibre network spread out everywhere. But to me personally, that's to my judgment, because the e-commerce is a massive factor to my business. People going online to purchase goods.
Yeah.
So we again have to adapt again to combat that and keep our business going.
Yeah. What would the traders in the town think, Jerry? Like, how are the pubs and the shops, and because they're often the mainstay of towns, like 4,000 population. Like, how do people feel about how that's going, and what would you see as the challenges?
My background is a pub, so I'm from the bar industry, and
yeah.
I've been involved in the vintage and stuff like that. And over the last 10-15 years, the culture is changing in Ireland. It's no longer like what people think, so all the Irish goes into bars and fall out of it every night, sagging around. So that has changed completely. So you're trying to cater for a different clientele, be it coffee, be it wine. You know, the wine growth in Ireland, coffee growth is huge. You know, and it's trying to change with that. Like, I depend on footfall, so that's the key, and to try and get people coming in the door, and then offering that sort of product or whatever, or trying to make them comfortable, be it their Wi-Fi or whatever. So it is changing. It's like what Hughie says. It's hard work, but like business is hard work. So you just keep hammering at it and trying to look for new areas and whatever like that. Like small towns like Edgeworthstown, we haven't got huge footfall. Like the drive is to 45 minutes to Dublin. Like we have youngsters, like not youngsters, but like 18 to 25s that go for a night in Dublin. So we have to try and offer something like it's like the price of the house. Our price of a pint is much cheaper down here.
What are you charging for a pint?
Sorry?
What do you charge for a pint of Guinness?
$4.10.
And he gets 10 cents. Imagine.
You'll still be going $4.20, but anyway.
You go home in the evening with 90 cents in your pocket.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at my son there. What do you pay in Dicey's or whatever?
Dicey's is its own enigma, but in a normal pub it's probably about $5.50. Give or take.
Dicey's is a little bit different now.
Dicey's is €2.
As well.
But if you ask for a Guinness, you're not getting a Guinness.
I know, but it just means the more you drink in Edgeworthstown, the more you're saving, right? But would you know, like, say over the near term, over like 5 years or so, like, is it, you know, are you frightened by that, or are you kind of feeling this is going to get, that it's going to be improving?
No, like I said before, like I'm always optimistic. Like you might have to change certain things, but you're looking to maybe change the custom towards your wine or your coffee or whatever it may be. But like you need to offer things to do, you know. And the big thing is probably your footfall going past the door. Like you know, that's the key. So it's to try and encourage that.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, I'll open out. Who wants to ask questions here? And feel free to ask the other way as well. If there's anything you want to know about Notre Dame or the American side of things, we can kind of go with that. Anyone want to kick in? Yes, come on.
Yeah, so from the time I've spent here in Edgeworthstown, what I've seen has been traditional, historical, and Irish. So there's also this massive conversation about corporations coming in and growing the town in terms of business. Is there a push and pull between preserving Irish culture and growing in a corporate sense?
It's very hard to lose your identity. It's inbuilt into you. Of course we have to adapt. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here talking to you. So it's where you get the balance right. No, it's very hard to get the balance right. But it's how you instill it without, as Jerry said, without bringing fresh blood, fresh thinking, more people onto our main street. It's hard to see where we'll be in 100 years' time. How I personally think we sustain what we have. What is great about this area is promoting what we have. Simple as that. All the good things. So they're here already. So I wouldn't like to say we're in competition with anyone. We're not. We're focused.
Yeah. I work for C&D Foods, will be the largest employer in the area. They're making a pet food manufacturing company down the Longford Road. We were a local business, began as a local business. We're now expanded to having companies in France, Holland, Austria and Denmark. And we employ maybe 400 or 500 people here. We employ total maybe about 1,500 across Europe. And I would say that they will probably have helped this town survive through some of the bad times because they have brought employment. They've brought a lot of people into the town that from different countries. So there are a unique set of challenges as well as a result of that. But we have helped the town, I think, grow and keep it sustained. And I think we haven't lost along the way. I think we were still preserving much of the character of the town. And as Frank said, I think if we can get the integration going correctly, I think it can only be to the benefit of the town in the long term.
Sean, do you want to come in?
I was going to ask, for those of you who came from outside Edgeworthstown and decided to live here full time, what played a role in that decision? What attracted you to stay here?
Love.
You know,
Mary, there was that TV series, wasn't there? No, but then there's a slash after me. Anyway, well, yes, come on, yeah.
I'm not from Edgeworthstown. My husband nor myself are from Edgeworthstown. So we settled here about 30 years ago. Now we're not too far away, we're just from County Roscommon. But one of the main things that brought us here was work. My husband was working here. And then I gave up my job in Roscommon to move to Edgeworthstown. So we stayed here. Very happy. Yeah.
So do you feel exiled from Roscommon in Longford? Or if Longford are playing Roscommon, who are you shouting for?
Roscommon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My question is, I know your university system is different here in that you kind of like go into college like knowing what you're going to study, and there's less room for like exploration of classes. Is it hard to decide what you're going to study?
There are some courses you can do in college where, like you said, you can try a whole array of subjects. They're called arts degrees. So you go in first year. I think Charlotte, you did that in first year. You studied so many different subjects, and then when she moved to second year, she got it whittled down what she wanted to study. But there are only a handful of courses. It is quite difficult when you're coming towards the end of your second year school to figure out what you want to do. I was 17 going into college, but I was actually lucky because I did know what I wanted to do. Some people don't know, but I think that's just the system. You do figure it out, and if you get into first year in college, you don't know what you want to do. There are, you can transfer courses where you don't have to pay extra fees, that kind of thing. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, and if you don't mind, I might ask you a specific question as well. And you know, you don't need to be too specific about Edgeworthstown, but speaking as a country person, my wife used to be always fierce-eyed when she came. I'm from Wexford. Fierce-eyed because whenever she came down, my mother would be always saying, "Oh, you know, there was a robbery there last night. The lads were down from Dublin." You know what I mean? Any crime in the countryside was the Dubs coming down. You know what I mean? And people disliked the road getting better and better because it made it easier. So no, but in terms of safety and in terms of quality of life and all that, like would you, by and large, without being specific about Edgeworthstown, because you were in law enforcement or in your professional life, like what would you say about the quality of, is that changing in rural Ireland? Is rural Ireland safer or more dangerous now than it used to be?
Well, I would say it's 50-50, yes. There's quite a lot of very good people in rural Ireland, and most of 90% of them would be totally supportive of law and order. And of course that must be done by the police service in a proper and efficient way, and you do that by gaining the confidence of the community and all that sort of stuff, and you operate investigating crime by intelligence. You won't solve crime without intelligence and all that, and that is the way it is, and I think we're very happy here at the moment with the young police service we actually have. So there's one or two of them who are from the area as well, and they would know the community and they involve themselves in the community. Now there's another question I want to ask from the visitors from Notre Dame. The connection with Ireland and the university in Notre Dame. Notre Dame is known as the Fighting Irish. Can anybody tell me how it got that nickname?
So I'm a tour guide, so we kind of like learn this. It's like one of the first things like we tell people. But in our first football game against Michigan, we were actually like losing to them. Their players kind of kept talking trash to ours, and they kept saying how you Irishmen are fighting worth a lick. And so different like publications kind of like got word of it, or I guess reporters for publications. So it started being like published in newspapers and magazines throughout the country. So it really was kind of like a derogatory term. And then it just kind of rose to the occasion, and that's kind of how we've been ever since.
Yeah, speaking as an Irish person, like the connection actually came historically to Notre Dame. Why they were caught with the Fighting Irish was because there was a regiment, the 69th Irish Regiment, which is still there in the American Army. It's now an armoured car division. But they were a Fenian organisation, and they just went into the American Army to get training. They were going to come over here and liberate Ireland, like many great Irish schemes. Never came to much. But they were the 69th and the New York regiments. They had priests from Notre Dame as their chaplains, including Father Corby. And the nickname, they were called the Fighting Irish, because they were sent in when the going was tough. started battles or whatever with very high casualty rate. They sent in the Irish because they thought the Irish were a bit wild or whatever. So the freaking Yankees were lying back, all the crowd from Boston or whatever. Right, let's send in this freaking mad Irish crowd, and then they would do all the hard fight. And they got the name the Fighting Irish from that. And I think the name Fighting Irish attached then to the Irish, Father Corby and whatever, he brought back the flag of the Fighting Irish. There's only 3 Fighting Irish flags in existence. One is in New York in the Armory, which is their headquarters there of the current 69. There's one in Notre Dame, and the other one was gifted as a present to Ireland by JFK when he visited here in 1963, and now stands just inside the main door of the door. But the Notre Dame connection with Ireland would be very, very strong. But it would be true to say that it broke, like a lot of the Irish-American relationship. America introduced very, very rigid anti-immigration measures in the 1920s and toughened them in the 1930s when America had the huge recession. This talk about anti-immigration or whatever is a long thing in American history. But, you know, the huge quantities of the Irish went in the 19th century and turned Notre Dame, like the name, even the way we pronounce it, it's barbaric by French standards. Notre Dame, you know, Notre Dame or whatever French pronunciation you want to put on it. But it was designed to be for French speakers sneaking over from Canada, right? And then the Irish came over and took the place over. And Notre Dame became very Irish. But we'd lost our connection, as with Irish-American general, from the 1920s up to the 1970s, 80s. And interestingly, in the 1990s, and Jerry talked there about the IBMs and the Coca-Colas and all the big American companies coming in many cases, it was only in the 1990s that they came under Irish-American chief executives, including our guy, Don Keogh. And it was when the Irish, and it took them a long time, it was only in the 1990s that the Irish really got to the very top of American society. Remember, there was huge bias against the Catholic. Being a president, JFK, the biggest challenge JFK had was as a Catholic, trying to overcome WASP prejudice in America. So, and that was only in the 1960s. So it was very recently that the Irish moved to the top. But when they did then, I think the instinct came to kind of say, well, you know, we've nothing else to do in America, now let's look back at Ireland. It was when people had the luxury then of the time or the interest to look back. And in the 1990s, places like Notre Dame, we started our Irish Studies program. In the 1990s, massive input from Irish-American business leadership into Ireland. Like our guy, Don Keogh, there's 2 very big Coca-Cola investments in Ireland because Don Keogh's ancestors were from Ireland, some of them from Wexford, and luckily for us, Wexford, he put a big Coca-Cola plant in Wexford. He insisted to go there. Now, if we weren't making the money, they wouldn't be here. But other things being equal, if there was a choice between us and Portugal, and it was within a 1% range or whatever, the Irish-American guy said, we'll put it in Ireland. And that's been huge for us. But the other side of that then was Irish-America got involved in the peace process as well. And from the 1990s, and this has also been enabled by these guys, mobile phone, the world at your fingertips, social media, people can stay in touch with us now. Like we were in Skelly's last night, and now you fucking find you come into Edgeworthstown and people have been looking at what we put up on Facebook or whatever. You know what I mean? But it maintains the connection. So I think the connection between Notre Dame and Ireland now has grown very, very strongly. This is part of political broadcast because it's partly on my watch. But so, for example, at the moment we have 73 Notre Dame students in Ireland, and we take 300 Notre Dame students through now every year. And each of those 300, usually their family visits and whatever. So, you know what I mean? And we're able, partly because of the willingness of people like you to give up a bank holiday Monday to come in and chat to us, we have a very close relationship now with Ireland. And I think, by and large, I don't want to put words in the mouths of our guys, but they really enjoy the contact with Ireland. But they're hungry for an authentic engagement with Ireland, not the tourist stuff, but the real thing. Yeah, so we were down in Fermoyle on Saturday with the national school kids, with a kind of a faction fight GAA game between them and us, which was kind of highly amusing. You know what I mean? But the real thing, real people, you know, and that's why we like Longford. Longford's real. It's not a tourist thing. People are not looking at you as if you just have dollar sign. It's authentic. It's real. And, you know, like even this kind of conversation, it gives people a real sense of the country. So we'd be very hopeful that when our guys go back, if we've shown them a proper appreciation of everything we have going in Ireland, the business environment, the culture, the hurling, the rugby, you know, whatever we're doing, and they get a real sense of who we are as a people and what we're all about. But then they go back very well informed. And we do a lot of historical, cultural stuff as well. But in the end, then, we think we're building a resource there because, in a sense, blood won't do it anymore. You know, we could rely on emigration and physical movement of people. Nowadays, people almost have to elect into Irishness. And part of that then is around us making Irishness something that people, because many people here, not all men and women, maybe some Irish ancestry, but if we're welcoming and receptive to that, as we are to new Irish movement, but also the Irish American, it's a huge resource for us, because again, close read about that, but these people will end up running America in 20 years' time, and we feel it's important.
Plans abroad in the day will be interesting.
Yeah, well, you know that.
Now what you want me to say?
Yeah. No, but strategically from our point of view, and I'm an Irish person with Irish children, and I'm very interested in the future of Ireland. Obviously, I work for the University of Notre Dame, but for me, it's an important resource for the country, and it's not a short play. It's not like that you take your fingers going to happen. But over the longer term, the fact that we've now put 3,000 people through our program, and they come back. They'll buy Irish music, they come back on their honeymoon, they come back for their holidays, you know, they talk us up, they post hundreds of pictures on Instagram and Facebook and whatever, and all of that's promoting. And like this weekend now, could be thousands of pictures from Longford, from Edgeworthstown, from all Abbey's Road and whatever, and it's great. But you know what I mean? But it builds the relationship, and we can do it. But it's like what you said there at the beginning, Frank, and I think Edgeworthstown is exemplary in that sense, is you can't just be passive, you've got to make it happen, you've got to be doing stuff, you've got to be responsive. If people want the fancy coffees now, no point just offering them the pint of Guinness, right? People want food in the pub, you've got to supply it. You know what I mean? You got to be, and as you said, you've got to be agile and quick and respond to what's around you. But part of that as well is, I think, like just building the relationship. You know, so I think, and that relationship is strongly strengthening at the moment. Anyway, that's enough.
Just one thing that I want to just follow on. America and Ireland have strong ties, always have. It's gone back hundreds of years, more or less. And everyone talks about the American companies that Ireland, through our way we do business, maybe our 12.5% tax rate, don't know anything about that. And all the companies that come here, but I don't know the exact statistics. Irish companies, Glanbia, Bailey's, Kingsbank, we actually have a major impact in the US. For every job that the American companies have here, we have the same equivalent, and we're only a fraction of the size of you people in America. So it works both ways. I don't know the statistics. Jerry, do you?
I did, but you take one of the biggest building supply companies, the Castle Group, in mostly in the northeastern states, is an Irish-owned company. It's owned by CRH, okay? And the food ingredients business, Glanbia, the Kerry Group, Kingspan.
Yeah, so
I think it's
90% of the cheese in American pizza is now supplied by Irish-owned companies. And Ireland, Republic of Ireland, which is only a tiny speck, we're the 5th biggest inward investor into the American economy. Would you believe that? Yeah, but you know, so like it's reciprocity, because sometimes you can get this feeling that America's offshoring all the jobs and that this is that to the detriment of America. Not really. It goes both ways. And what is really interesting there, and I will shut up then. But again, because this is not something that people understand. When these companies first came to Ireland, American companies, they would import the whole C class. So the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, whatever, all the C class was imported and implanted really, right? But nowadays, that never happens anymore. Nowadays, there's Irish people who do these things. So they're American owned and American run and American culture and American value. But the people who are delivering are all Irish. And very interestingly, from our point of view, and reassuring for us, in many cases now, they're now hiring the Irish guys to do such a good job there, and they bring them back to Silicon Valley or bring them back into America to run. And now, like, it's amazing, in American business now, there's a huge amount of Irish guys who've started in the operations here who are now running the American company. So that's a huge resource for us, because in the end, they make decisions. And again, always, it's never sentimental. Like, the business of business is business. If you weren't making money, you wouldn't be in it. But it can swing it, and it's a very important resource for us. Now, guys, I'm conscious of the time as well. So who else wants to kick in on the questions? Yes?
It really seems like there's a lot about this town that you guys really love, and that really makes you stand out and makes you special. And what would you say is the biggest challenge going forward in keeping those things that you love about this town the way that they are?
Yeah. What would keep, they say at 3 o'clock in the morning, Brendan Bean said there's no such thing as an angel at 3 o'clock in the morning. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're worried about something. What is it you're worried about? What would be the big worry in Edgeworthstown? Patrick, can I ask you that? You're a wise man and you've been in Edgeworthstown and in business for a long time. What would you worry about now, about the future of Edgeworthstown?
Investor, no, man.
No. That's a great answer.
As regards being retired.
What you're going to wear when you see all the kids running around outside, they're all our kids, you know, and we look for yes, we're trying to build a community, but the idea to build a community is for a future for the kids out there. There are 10, 12 children out there, they're all our kids. And yes, they'll get the best education they possibly can here. That's one thing we strive to do. We put them through the best education that is available to us at whatever cost, which is thankfully in Ireland is quite small. And yes, they will go away to study. They will go to Dublin, Cork, wherever to study, and they may go abroad for a term. But you always strive to get them back. And I suppose our goal is to have something here for when they come back. And we, again, it all revolves around the community. Trying to build something. I can't do it on my own. I own a store uptown. I'm limited to what I can do. But with everybody else here, and with bringing everyone together, we can create something. And as Frank says, we can go to Dublin and ask them for. The thing about it is you can't just look for money. If you show them the problem and show them that we have a solution, then they will get behind us, the powers that be in Dublin, and they'll support us. So that's what we're looking for, to build something here so that those kids out there will come back here, will get married here, will have some sort of an internet startup maybe, or God knows if they want to follow on the business that I'm at, but God love them if they do. But it's that kind of to move things forward for what's going behind you.
Yeah, great answer.
I suppose some of the thing with the growth of a town in terms of bringing in business, bringing in new people from different countries, you're always worried, I suppose, that there's an element that might not be law-abiding, might be harmful to people in the town. There's always that risk. So I suppose that's always a kind of worry for people. Are they going to get involved with something that might not be beneficial to their kids, to the families, whatever. So I suppose that's a risk that you run. So I suppose, as Noel said, unless you try and build up a community that won't allow this, tolerate this kind of behaviour, that will try and stamp it out when it occurs. And I think the positives, I would say, outweigh the negatives in the town, but there's no doubt that there's probably some negatives to any community. And I suppose the goal for us as a community is to try and make it that the negatives are negligible in the effect they have on the community.
Cool.
Yeah, just going off of what you said, I want to hear from the students about what it is about Edgeworthstown that makes you want to come back. I know you said that you're done right now for school, or you just finished, and maybe you want to come back in a few years, 10 years from now. And I don't know if you guys have something, I want to know what drew you back here instead of maybe another small town, maybe staying in Dublin or somewhere else.
It's just like, it's home. Again, it's so cheesy, isn't it?
But, it's a great answer.
Yeah. But, I want to be a teacher, I definitely know that. And I'd love to come back to Longford. And there's loads of schools around here, so hopefully I'll get a job. I don't know, it's just, like, I know everything that's here, like, I like it, it's home. That's really it.
Yeah, I think expanding what Jared said, you know your neighbours. You went to school here, you made your communion here, you made your confirmation here. I eventually want to get married here, buy a house here, hopefully work here, send my kids to the same school I went to. Yeah, it is home. Cheesy as it sounds, it is.
Great answer. Well, there's nothing cheesy about home.
Sorry, just the other part of it as well is that having moved back from college in Dublin and settled here, you can offer your own children so much more than you can offer them in Dublin. Dublin, you're talking about a house that's on a very small plot of land with a tiny back garden. You don't know your neighbours, whereas here you've got the space, you've got the facilities for the children. So that's huge, huge job.
One of the things I think, I'm speaking again as a country person now, but one of the things that I notice as a difference between, say, living in a small Irish community as opposed to in Dublin. If you're in Dublin, like, you better be really good at the GAA or whatever if you want to be on one of the good teams, or on the soccer team, or do anything else, or, singing in the choir, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, in Dublin, you got to be really good to be. Whereas down the country, you know, even if you can't sing, you're probably in the choir. You know what I mean? And there's.
Are you trying to say we're
No,
bad
I
singers?
don't, no, I'm not. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if your children in the country get a shot at everything more easily than you do in the city, I think it's very inclusive. And you know, like I was looking out there, everybody's wearing the GAA jerseys or the rugby or the athletics or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's easier to get involved, I think. And there's less commuting. If you're in Dublin and you're trying to do some fuck's sake, like you spend you can be a taxi service with kids for a long time. So I think it's more inclusive. Yeah, Sean.
Well, if you just look there, we've got 10 kids, and for the last hour they've been outside. You haven't been worried about them in any way. You've seen them learn past it in 10 seconds. It's safe here. Relatively, you will have small problems in small towns, the same as big problems in big towns, but every one of those kids is, as the guy's saying, there's soccer on a Monday evening, there's Gaelic on a Tuesday evening, hurling on a Wednesday evening, Ciarán MacGonigal is doing choir with them on a Thursday evening as well. You just don't see them because they're coming and going, so it's great for family life.
With the same kids that are playing the soccer or playing the hurling and the
they're on
rugby.
every team. There's under 8s, they start from under 6 up to senior teams, and it's fantastic for them.
No, I think it is
every
brilliant.
child and every talent. I mean, every child is different. But like the community games, there is a competition for every child. There's swimming, there's judo, there's chess, there's art, singing, dancing. Very
music here as well,
and the music, and like the traditional music scene in Edgestown is vibrant, and you can see 5, 6-year-olds learning the tin whistle now, and you're bringing that talent up and encouraging them at that level. It's carrying the tradition of Irish music. It's going to be very strong in future generations because the work that's being put into it by everybody.
No, it's brilliant. But I was talking to one of the girls there, and she was complaining, you know, well, she can't get her homework done until 8 o'clock because she has to go to the athletics club, and she has to go to the choir, and she has to go to, like, she's so busy that and she's in grade school, she's so busy like that she can't get to do her homework until kind of late at night, and then her parents are sending her to bed or whatever. You know, but it's a very active kind of life for kids, but also that sense of knowing your neighbours and knowing they're reasonably safe is a kind of a good thing. Okay, other questions from our guys, because I say I'm going to wrap in a few minutes. Who else wants to kick in?
One final comment to make now, since we have the people from Chicago. The sports in your college, you have, I know in the States you've got football, that thing where you throw the balls, and then you've got baseball, you've got basketball, and you've got tennis. What is the big game for Notre Dame? Or do you cover all 4?
Yeah, but I want to, this is good, Ms. Kelly can answer on this, but what I want to also say is, can you explain Title IX and the fact that women's sports are in a scholarship and how all that works, and the fact that women's sports are very well supported in Notre Dame as well?
Yeah, so we have this thing called Title IX, where it pretty much states that any funding that goes towards men's varsity teams has to match the funding and opportunities for, at least with sports, for women's teams. So as many varsity sports that we have for guys, we have to have for girls. They don't have to be the same sport, but you have to have those same opportunities for women to play sports.
Which I think makes Notre Dame a very sporting campus. You know, I mean, because there's a lot of scholarship. You can get a scholarship to be a leprechaun in Notre Dame, and cheerleading. But we have also very high level women's soccer and you know all that. But our key, you know, and not to be invidious, but what would we do, and maybe ask one of the guys who's a sports guy here, Joe, what would you think it was being if you were to say the top 5 or 6 Notre Dame sports?
I think football obviously is number 1, even though we haven't done great in the past couple of years. And we have basketball, lacrosse. Women's basketball is one of the top programs in the country. Soccer is top program. Hockey program. Fencing just won the national championship.
But just to put it in context for how big Notre Dame football is, their stadium, which is on campus, is the same size, if not bigger, than Croke Park. So that gets filled every week that they play, and it is packed, and those tickets are
sold
gold.
out since 1964.
So if you can imagine week in, week out filling Croke Park, that's just for Notre Dame football. And there's tens and 20s and hundreds of campuses that are the exact same across America. Yeah.
But for Notre Dame people, I don't want to be disrespectful to any of the many great sports at Notre Dame, but suppose Notre Dame would always pride itself on, it has won historically. They're like Wexford, they used to be good. And we will be good again. Might just say next Saturday. Anyway, no, but Notre Dame has won 11, I think, national championships.
So we've won more national championships than any other school. So, you know, the alumni and everybody, they're freaking obsessed with the American football and us being good in that. But when was the last time we won the championship? 1988, was it? Yeah, so you know, but we're always kind of expecting to be competitive. But one of the things that we are also would pride ourselves on is that although we have a load of student athletes, we graduate them all and we give them a proper education. I don't, again, want to be holier than that, but in some schools maybe they take them in and they do some course in sports, branding or whatever, but they're not really educated the same way. But our guys can't play unless they're making their academic grades. So we educate our athletes, and I think we're in the 99 percentile of our athletes graduate. Would that be true?
Yeah, and as I can speak for football at least, we speed up their courses so that they can finish their coursework and graduate with a degree in 3 years instead of 4, in case they want to enter the NFL draft early. So they'll leave with a degree.
Yeah, but we put a lot of emphasis on educating them for life, because obviously if you're good enough to be drafted and you get a big contract and whatever, that's great. But how many people are in the Notre Dame football squad? 109?
About 113.
113. So not all of them are going to the majors, and we have a duty of care towards all our guys and indeed girls, because as we said, our basketball team is really good. At the moment, we got a great guy from Dundalk who's on a soccer scholarship, John Gallagher, who's a winger on the Notre Dame soccer team, and the college football in America now is really good. This guy is going to be something great for us. I think he'll be an Irish international in the future. He's doing great there. So and in the past also we recruited a lot of Irish students to go to Notre Dame, often on sports scholarship. And so we have tennis players, we have some people in athletics, those kind of things, who have come through Notre Dame as well. And I think for the parents to bear in mind, and for these young lads over here, and whatever to bear in mind too, is there are 2 scholarships, fully funded scholarships for Irish students to go to Notre Dame. And we actually have undergraduates in Notre Dame who are, what they call it, full ride, full load, you know, like, so everything is kind of taken care of. Like, and that's a scholarship that's worth $250,000. You know what I mean? So like we're also trying to be international. Probably one of our weaknesses in terms of America's obsessed with rankings, and we would rank very high. But one of the things that drags us down a little bit is we don't have enough international students. So Notre Dame now has a big push on recruiting international students, and they're very keen to get Irish students as well. So that's the plus here. There's very good scholarships now for Irish students. No, you'll be very well scholarships. Okay, sorry, I'm going to love hate here.
Is there a lot of African American students in Notre Dame?
Who would want to answer that? One other thing about Notre Dame would be we are very Catholic, more Catholic than the Pope in some respects. So, and unapologetically so, and very confidently so, and in a very nice kind of way. So, in my opinion, we're not a traditional, we're liberal Catholic, and and very tolerant, and all of those kind of good things. But there is an expectation there that we keep our Catholic recruitment above 85%. And that's a big chill factor for African Americans, because many of those people are from the more evangelical Protestant religious tradition. So our growth area is more Hispanic American, because they tend to be Catholic. Do you know what I mean? But so we wouldn't be huge, one would have to say, on African American presence. Sean, what would you say?
Additionally, there is like a certain, I don't know what it is, but there's a certain set percentage for legacy students as well. Because Notre Dame wants to take in students.
Explain a legacy student.
So a legacy student is a student who has family who's gone to university in the past. So I think there's like a large percentage of the university that, what is it?
25.
So 25%. They also like have a bar to meet there for students that have like a family history at Notre Dame, things like that.
And we are also, again, this all sounds slightly obnoxious, but anyway, we only admit 1 out of every 18 or 19 people that apply to us. So it's super competitive to get in. So, you know, these are already people who have won a golden ticket in that Willy Wonka chocolate factory. You know, in a way, so these are the players from the best that America has got. Okay, we probably, I think one last one.
The folks here are looking at developing a very exciting program. We've also would people be interested in coming and doing an internship here. Just throwing it out.
As internship manager, I can say that yes, we're like incredibly interested. Like Sean is in Carmel Noone, Galway, which is, you know, seems isolated, but he's here now. We have Christian. Where's Christian? Christian is in UCC in Cork, and though we're based in Dublin, our home is in Dublin. We're constantly looking to expand. We're constantly looking to get people into places outside of Dublin, because Ireland is not just Dublin, and internships don't just belong in Dublin. And to make for their sake and for the sake of us, we can't just isolate them to one place. We can't say this is Ireland.
Yeah, but again, given, you see, because Notre Dame is all about relationship, and we come down here to our connection with Jerry, who we make do things for us as well, and he's always very willing to do it. But, you know, we're all about relationship, and we've only found not only a very warm welcome and support in Edwardston. So if you needed or wanted an intern next summer for 8 weeks or so, we'd be very happy to supply you one. You just tell us what you need. We'll talk offline about that. Yeah. No, you know, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is we need to have a little chat just about how we structure, but yeah. Okay, one last one. This is the last question, Nicole.
I don't know if you're asking me, I think, were you asking what people might be interested in as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Just something that I think is like a big emphasis on us is that a lot of careers in the future, like we're going to need jobs that are creative and like can't be replaced by technology and things like that. I think areas like this, like there are tons of opportunity to be involved in like community programs or help run a startup, a new thing with school kids, or work with clubs in the town and the community and that kind of thing. I think there's a strong interest among Notre Dame students in general, like with the I'd say generally like well-rounded and people who are interested in a lot of things and participating with people. So I think that this is like a strong area for a program like that.
Would the group of maybe looking at community arts programs involving young people in community arts?
See, now that would be right down our line of business. And we sometimes have difficulties in Ireland, you know, understandably because of child protection and other kind of things. You know, so and sometimes what we need there is a host organisation which is willing to do the legwork in relation to that. So, you know, we'd be absolutely on board with anything like that, and we'd be delighted to do it. And everyone's saying, like, guys, you've all, I'm going to put words in your mouth again, but you know what I mean? But like, you know, if you had the opportunity, if we had that opportunity, do you think people would apply for it from Notre Dame?
Absolutely. So just a comment before you go. The scope when you think first of the New Irish.
Yes.
Just notice with a lot of the first and second names going down this, as you all called out, that you're probably old Irish, and it's great to see you coming back. And even people that aren't old Irish, it's fantastic to have you coming to Manchester. Hopefully, some of you will become new Irish again. It's a circle that repeats itself. We went away, we're coming back now, and it's fantastic. You know?
Make us looking for an Irish husband. So guys, I'm conscious of the time or whatever, but I want to thank everybody for great morning, Ciarán, wonderful show, great engagement, great conversation, back and forth, you know, like, and that's what we were looking for this morning. So I want to kind of thank Jerry, I want to thank everybody here for giving up their morning to be with us. Thanks very much, lads. Thanks very much.
Just one thing, we want you to spread your enjoyment when you're back with your friends. You're very welcome. This is turning into an annual event, so we hope to see Kevin, Jerry, back again with more students. Sell the story for us. I also want to mention, I'm thankful for the local support, people that took out time on a bank holiday to come here today. Carmel as well, the staff that do so much on the quiet for us. So enjoy the day and don't go home and tell Mammy and Daddy. Ireland is a great place. Come over and visit us, okay?
Especially Longford. Yeah.